Hello everyone, this is Jacek. Welcome to my new tutorial on alien skin exposure software. Today we will be working in the X4 version, so the newest version of exposure. If you're working on an older version, I highly recommend upgrading to the newest version. There are some key differences and key changes made to X4. We will be talking about the highlight and shadow sliders, but also there are a couple of new features. All of them you can find on the official Alien Skin YouTube channel with explanations, so I highly recommend visiting it. Today I would like to show you a full retouch of this particular image done entirely in exposure. And after the tutorial, if you'd like to try out the software, you can download it via my affiliate link. You can find it in the description below the video, and at the end I will also share a promotional code for 10% discount on Alien Skin software, so please stay tuned and let's begin. First of all, I know the direction I want to go with this photo. I want to create a contrast between cold and warm tones, and I had this in my head while I was shooting this photo. That's why I used the tungsten bulb as a highlight. Also, I used a modeling LED light from a studio light as my main light through a beauty dish with a sock on it. This gave me a warm key light on my model, but I knew that if I bring down the entire temperature of this photo in post-processing, so in my raw converter, in this case Alien Skin Exposure X4, I can create a contrast between cold background and warm foreground. But in this particular case we need to emphasize it with local adjustments, but we will be doing this in a minute. First we cool down the entire photo. Okay, now we need to, I think, bring up a little bit of the entire exposure. Now I want to bring down the highlights to get some details back in the light bulb and in the windows. So let's bring down the highlights a little bit. And if you are using older versions of Alien Skin Exposure, you may have noticed the highlight slider not being particularly great in recovering highlights. It usually just darkened the highlights, making them sometimes a little bit grayish. In the newest version, the highlight slider finally works as a detail recovery tool. Also, the shadow slider, as you can see, gives you a lot of range in the shadows, so you can really create some funky looking HDR photo, but we will be just recovering the shadows very slightly. Okay, so we have our base exposure and color toning. So we have before and after. Before all warm, after we start to get some of the cold and warm contrast, but we need to emphasize it. So what I will do is create a new layer, go to my brush. As you can see, it automatically turned my layer black. You can reverse it by clicking invert mask, but I will enlarge the thumbnails and you will see what will happen. What I want to do is cool down the background some more, so I will bring down the temperature of the brush. Nothing can be seen on the main picture, but as you can see closely in the thumbnail on the layer, it all cools down in the thumbnail. If I were to reverse the mask, you can see the changes directly on the photo. Now I can invert it again because I want to add the effect gradually, so I will control the effect, adding the effect with the flow of my brush. As you can see on the preview, this shows you how much of a white it will add to the black layer. So this is a black mask like in Photoshop. If I was to invert it, now the brush, instead of a plus, it has a minus inside of it, and now I would have to subtract the effect. I don't want to subtract it, I want to add it. So let's invert the mask like it was before, and now I can simply paint the coolness of the background with my brush strokes. So the more I stroke, the more of the effect will be visible due to the flow of my brush. Okay, so I will go through the background a little bit. Let's do some cool tones over here. And I am controlling the size of my brush with my scroll wheel on my mouse. I am using a mouse for it. I don't need a tablet right now. I think it doesn't support the pressure control, so either way it won't be as useful. Okay, now I can preview by disabling and enabling the layers. So we have before and after, before and after. We have much more coolness in the background. If you would like to add a little bit more of the effect, you can still control the effect in the main basic window. But I have what I needed, so now I will move to the next step, and the next step will be warming up and brightening the face of the model. So let's add a new layer. Let's now bring up the temperature of the brush, and now let's add some warmth into the face of our model. Let's just do some brush strokes. Perfect, and we have before and after, before and after. And now you see the contrast between cool and warm. I will bring it down a little bit, and I will also play with maybe the exposure and the white slider. I can even go to the curves. I can use all of my basic correction adjustments for my brush. So on a new layer I am brushing only on the mask. I am not adding the effect itself. I am just creating a new layer with multiple effects from the adjustment panels. I am just controlling the mask. Okay, so when we have this already, now what I want to do is play a little bit with dodge and burning. So let's add yet another new layer. Let's go to a dodge preset. As you can see, the thumbnail got really bright. To be honest, I don't need the navigation tool panel. The issue with that I have is that I am used to controlling the photo with my spacebar when I'm zoomed in, and when I press the spacebar it's a before button, so unfortunately we have to work with it. But okay, let's start with basic dodging. So let's just lighten some shadows, just a little bit. Okay, perfect. And now I want to brighten the eyes, so I will add a little effect to the eyes themselves. I don't want to lighten the entire eyes, I just want to focus on the bottom part, since eye is a sphere, so the eyelid will cast some kind of a shadow on it. Okay, let's just zoom out a little bit, and now when I'm already have the dodge tool activated, I will do some also global dodging, some sculpting of the face. Let's zoom out. Okay, and I will brighten up still some of the skin. Perfect, and we can see before and after, before and after. And if the effect is too much, too strong, I can always bring down the opacity of the layer. That's the beauty of exposure. You can really work on layers. Perfect. So I have my basic retouch already done. I will disable my brush. I will go in slightly as well, and I want to select my healing brush. It is turned on to heal, not clone, so I want to just remove some blemishes. Nope, that was a wrong choice. I want to remove that. Just a couple of them to make the skin even more perfect, although it already is almost perfect. So this is some blotchiness over here. Perfect. Disable it. Zoom out. And now we have the before and after, before and after. So I could be done already because the photo already has a really nice warm and cool contrast going for it. But what I want to do, first of all, I will make my thumbnails a little bit smaller. I want to add a new layer. The real beauty and power of exposure are the built-in presets. I have my favorite already selected. My favorites, they are simply some of the presets that I chose from the already existing ones and a couple of my own. You simply select a star on each preset to have it stored in your favorites tab. So what I want to find is a preset that will boost the contrast a little bit and also give it a little warmth, more warmth. So when I go over each preset, I will see the preview. So the first one was already nice, but it was too strong for me. So I am going further. Oh, this one is quite nice, but let's find other possibilities. Okay, and those are mine that will create multiple layers, so I don't want to go to them. But what I have one that I really wanted, so it was the Kodachrome 25 sharp, so it applies some sharpness, but I don't want it on the entire image as strong, so I will go to the opacity of this layer and maybe go to 50% for this layer, so it's before and after, a little bit of boost. Now let's add a new layer again, because I saw another one. It was this one, yeah, a very muted preset, a little more, let's say, a little flatter of a dynamic range, but I like the look of it, so I will give it also a 50% opacity. So we have a before and after, before and after. Very nice. And now let's do another layer and let's make a simple curve adjustment, not that much, just lighten a little bit. Perfect. So now I think I am finished. Before and after. Let's go through all the layers again. I will disable all of them. So this was our starting point. What we did first, we decreased the temperature and increased the exposure just slightly. Then we used our first local adjustment brush, so we added some more coolness to the background. Then we boosted the skin with some warm tones, and we used the dodge and burn tools, mainly the dodge tool, to lighten up the skin and fix some imperfections. Also we added some of the healing brush, but then we played around with the existing presets and boosted the contrast a little bit with curves, and now we have this final image. And for me, this is an image ready to be published, and I have done this entirely within one software, so within Exposure. I was working on my raw file, so all the details on all the information is of the highest possible quality. And as I mentioned, the beauty of Exposure is that it has all the built-in presets, so it's no longer only a preset software, although it was just a plugin. Now it is a full-fledged software. I don't have Photoshop or Lightroom running, I just have Exposure opened, and I can edit my raw file and all the necessary adjustments with layers. I can control the masking of the layers and the opacity, and I can add my favorite filters for final color grading. So if you're really interested in this software, check out the affiliate link in the description below. You can try out it for 30 days for free. If you'd like to buy it through the affiliate link, I would be very happy because you will be supporting this channel. And at the end of the video, you will see on screen the discount code that you can put in Alien Skin that will give you 10% off. Thank you very much. Leave a like and a comment if you really enjoyed this video. Please subscribe for more content. There are some English tutorials on my channel, not all of them, most of them are in Polish, but I like to try to sneak in a little bit of English tutorials now and then. And to be honest, they are mostly quite long and extensive, so enjoy. There is a full English playlist on my channel. Thank you very much again and see you next time. Bye.